Just very quickly, this is one of those instances where I review a film and I actually think, if you haven't seen it, you kinda need to. It's an amazing piece of cinema and worth the runtime in my opinion, so I'd recommend that if you haven't watched Rubber, you leave this review, go watch the film yourself, if you can, and come back. I'm going to be spoiling the whole thing, so if you want to experience the movie yourself before watching this, which I do recommend that you do, then I would understand if you did so. Anyway, that's your spoiler warning. Let's get into the review now. I love Rubber. No, and not in that way, you creepy pervs. This movie is one that, if you've seen it, you probably love it and appreciate it for what it is, or you think it's a pretentious piece of garbage, and if you haven't seen it and love the niche genre of movies that include ridiculous premises and abstract ideas, you've probably at least heard of it. And when we're talking about ridiculous premises in regards to this movie, we're talking about a film about a car tire that murders people. Yeah, I know. As strange movie plotlines go, this one kinda takes the metaphorical cake. I actually first heard about this movie when my dad, being the bad movie provider that he seems to be for me, brought me the film for Christmas a couple years ago, hoping that it would satisfy my constant hunger for bad movies, and in a way, he actually didn't succeed. Because this movie isn't bad by any means. It's actually well shot, semi-decently acted, has good dialogue, sound design, and even its premise underneath all the silliness is interesting, and was not something that I expected. But before I talk about that, let me explain what this movie actually is. Rubber is a French, English-speaking independent movie by director and techno-musician Quentin Dupieux. I googled how to say his name, so I hope I did the pronunciations right. Otherwise, sorry, dude. It was designed to be, as Dupieux puts it, 90 minutes of pleasure and enjoyment. The director has worked on other movies before, and each of them seem to have the same general theme of either being adored or despised. Films such as Deerskin from 2019, Reality from 2014, and Wrong from 2012 all seem to be as surrealist and abstract as you guys will see Rubber is, and all of them have a vast array of reviews ranging from people thinking that the works are exquisite to masterpieces that have various levels of depth, or that they're terrible and boring wastes of time. It seems to be a theme with Dupieux. His films are never conventional or considered normal, and because of that, they don't tend to do well financially. I mean, Rubber has an estimated budget of $800,000, but only made $16,346 in the US during its opening weekend, and only had a worldwide gross of, get this, just over $100,000. Which is pretty upsetting to me, personally. This movie isn't like other stupidly premised movies like Jurassic Games or The Beaster Bunny, where it can't be argued that they did deserve their budget back. When it comes to these films, there wasn't much entertainment value or passion to be found in them. Plus, I haven't reviewed Jurassic Games on this channel yet, but trust me, it's boring as fuck, despite the name suggesting otherwise. Rubber clearly had a great amount of effort and time put into it, and it really shows in the final product. Now, I was planning on doing this review in a certain kind of way, and it would have been a different way than usual. You see, Rubber is what I would like to call an English literature graduate's wet dream. As you guys probably know if you've been following me for a while, I graduated with a major in English literature, and one of the things that you need to be able to do in English literature essays is interpret things and be able to justify those interpretations. For example, in Novel X, Brandon is constantly described with red clothing to symbolize his character's anger issues, because red is the universal color of anger and passion. You know, bullshit like that. So when I watched Rubber for the first time last year, I was analysing and interpreting everything in sight. Rubber is such an abstract film where so many strange things happen seemingly just because the director wanted it to, and when a movie or novel doesn't follow the conventional structure of storytelling in any way, it's prime pickings for interpretation. And I naturally analyse everything that I consume, so I was salivating at the idea of writing a video essay on this film. However, I can't look for too much depth within this film without first mentioning something kind of important. You see, Dupieux has stated in interviews that the movie doesn't have any hidden meanings behind it, and that the majority of the events in it that people seem to interpret, he just made those decisions to make those events happen in the movie for frivolous reasons. As an example, in an interview in Entertainment Weekly, he spoke about the interpretations of the scene where the spectators watching the tire are poisoned, and he says, obviously, we can find a lot of interpretation of the poison. Like, oh yeah, Hollywood is poisoning the audience. Think whatever you want, I just did it because I got bored with the characters. Okay, F them, let's poison them. Sorry for my weird accent, I don't know what that was. But this means that the beginning of the film, where the everything is happening because reason speech happens, and don't worry, we're gonna get to that in a second, is accurate, and cannot really be ignored or cast aside as just a weird gag like I initially thought when I watched this thing. The director didn't do anything in the film for a purpose, and therefore me interpreting anything in this movie cannot be backed up by any historical context like it can with most novels or films. I can't justify any deep analysis into what the movie is trying to say because the director didn't intend to have the movie be about interpretation and depth. He wasn't saying anything with this film. He just wanted for it to be entertaining. However, despite this, I don't think that anyone, even Dupieux, could create a movie so metaphysical and with such blatant foreshadowing without assuming that people were gonna analyse the movie. So I want to acknowledge that this is one of those rare instances where I can't look into the context behind the movie for answers because, well, there are none. However, I shall be analysing this film regardless and seeing what we can get out of it entertainment-wise and metaphorically, even if my analysis is brief so as to not make this video an hour long. So, that's how I'm going to do this review, displaying how enjoyable this film is and why I love it as much as I do, while also looking deeper into this like the nerd that I am. So, the movie opens up with this very odd scene that's gonna take a hot minute to describe. I would just show you the whole scene and not commentate over it just to emphasize how weird and almost uncomfortable the whole thing is, but this channel has enough issues with copyright claims, so you're all just gonna have to deal with me describing it instead. Sorry. A man with a lot of binoculars is standing in the desert, surrounded by a lot of wooden chairs, waiting for someone or something to start. Then a car drives up and knocks every single one of the chairs down. I am really impressed that the driver actually went to the effort of knocking down every single chair. I mean, this seems like blatant foreshadowing as to the murdering of a certain audience group later, but that might just be me, I don't know. Then proceeds the most telling speech in the entire film.
In the Steven Spielberg movie E.T., why is the alien brown? No reason. You probably never gave it a thought. But all great films, without exception, contain an important element of no reason. Ladies, gentlemen, the film you are about to see today is an homage to the no reason.
So, right from the get-go, this speech tells you that if you came into this movie and watched the scene that occurred beforehand, thinking that this was some kind of metaphorical, abstract film that has a deeper meaning behind all the crazy shenanigans about to ensue, like me for example, then tough luck, because nothing in this movie means anything and everything happens for no reason. This speech specifically kind of put a damper on my parade a tad, but it does give the film an interesting out for the majority of the criticism of the film being that it's nonsensical. Because, yeah, a lot of people really don't like the fact that the film's plot doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, we're introduced to the spectators of the film.
Why did they destroy all those chairs? They're sat on those.
Yeah, it's really a pity. Quiet, please.
This plot thread isn't completely explained throughout the film, and a lot of it is left up to the imagination, but from what I can gather, these people have been paid or have agreed to observe a kind of live-action movie take place right before them. They get binoculars and a place to stand and watch the movie unfold before them. Why have they been given this chance? Who gave them the option to watch something like this unfold? Why is the spectacle they're about to watch about a tire that kills people? How does whoever is behind this manage to make a tire come to life and give it the ability to murder people?
No reason.
So the tire comes to life with essentially no explanation as to how or why, and begins his journey into the world of being the most bloodthirsty, silent serial killer since Jason Voorhees. Just, lacking the mommy issues and the obsession with watching campers bone. We quickly learn, after the tire kills a scorpion, like the psycho that he is, that he has some kind of psychokinetic powers and is able to destroy things with his mind. And yeah, I'm using he/him pronouns because in the credits the tire is listed as being called Robert. I'm not going crazy and thinking that the tire is genuinely sentient and has a name with no reason behind it, so don't worry. So anyway, Robert uses his ability to destroy a bottle, and the audience comment.
Looks like he has telepathic powers.
You mean psychokinetic?
Oh my god, I hate people like this. Oh, I think the flowers outside are finally growing. I think you mean that they're engaging in the process of photosynthesis, which plants don't finally do. They're in a constant state of it. Shut up, Jerry. This is why you got bullied in school.
I think the kid is right. Psychokinetic powers.
Excuse me, but do you have to comment everything aloud?
Oh my god, me. I could make a whole video essay on why people talking during a movie in the cinema pisses me off. And actually, I might. It might help me remember that cinemas suck and to stop missing them during quarantine. So some hours pass by, and everyone watching Robert, and Robert himself, drift off. Yeah, the tire can sleep, don't ask why. And this discount bully character pops by and steals some money from the spectators. Now, I always interpreted this as a commentary on how the movie industry is stealing the audience's money with their low-effort movie making, mainly with films that include The Rock in them. But it could just also be that this guy actually thinks he's in Bully and can pick up anything when these NPCs are on the ground. Who really knows? So now, Robert attempts to use his new abilities against a living creature, and... he's super happy about it, because in this world, tires can feel emotions. As Robert rolls around, he manages to get near a road and sees a woman driving by, which piques his interest into what else he could potentially murder with his... mind? I think he has a mind. I mean, he's a tire, but how else would he be able to process what he was doing or have a sense of joy at murdering people? Ugh, you guys know what I mean. I need to stop trying to make sense of this movie. So I guess he has the ability to control the momentum of cars as well, because he's a tire? And he's coming closer to murder this girl when... ugh, that's embarrassing. As the film goes by, we get our first human murder scene, and...
oh my god.
I mean, if you didn't enjoy that murder scene, I apologize, because there's gonna be a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, you think you're gonna shut up sometimes and let us watch in peace? I can't stand it!
Me when watching movies with my boyfriend. Now, here comes a scene that seemingly makes little to no sense when you first watch it, but it does make sense later.
Yes. Oh, yes, master. Very well, master. Yes, certainly.
So I think this master character is supposed to represent the movie industry as a whole. Somehow he's orchestrated this entire ordeal with the tire coming to life and the spectators watching his shenanigans, but we have no idea how or why. But the one thing we do know is that there's a turkey in the room, and that's more important than anything that we have seen so far. So this guy kills the turkey and takes it over to the spectators, who haven't seemingly eaten in days because none of them thought to bring any food on this potentially week-long outing, and they go bananas about it. Except for this dude in the wheelchair. I really don't know why this dude couldn't have just brought a turkey and stuffed it with poison, but I guess he's just really invested in his work? Another quick little analysis, but I think this might represent the film audiences being starved for more content and keeping the industry going with their starvation for the next superhero blockbuster or romantic comedy starring... I don't know, I don't watch rom-coms. Who stars in them nowadays? Rebel Wilson? Like, this could be a commentary on the fact that people's expectations are so low in regards to movies that they're willing to take anything that they're given. Including plain turkey, which is objectively the worst meat out there. Rabbit is the best meat, turkey is the worst meat, don't at me. So now we're introduced to the most intrusive housekeeper of all time. Like, seriously. Not only does she walk into the shower thinking that someone is in there and pulls the curtain back, which by the way, if she were a guy, would be totally classed as sexual harassment, but she chucks out the tire that for all she knows belongs to the person renting the room out.
Fucking weirdos.
What the hell is her problem? If someone wants to wash their tire in the shower, what business is it of yours? Maybe it's their kink, and no kink shaming allowed on this channel. I mean, I'm into cat girls, so, you know, can't really judge anybody else. But the tire gets its revenge anyway. So we're introduced to this kid and his, I guess, dad. It never really explains. And all you need to know about this kid is that he's kind of important to the plot, and all you need to know about this guy is that he's kind of an asshole.
Whoa!
Wait a minute. I don't get what this guy was expecting to happen. Did you want this kid to give you a ride on the back of his bike? Like, okay, dude, I get it. You're probably tired from walking and you want to ride, but come on, dude.
Here's your double topping, dickhead.
This kid is a psychopath.
Hey, what's going on?
Damn it to hell!
What's happening to us?
They poisoned you. Turkey was a trap.
Commentary on how the movie industry poisons its... Oh, wait. Dupieux said that he just did this because he wanted to kill off the characters. Commentary on how Dupieux hates the characters that he created? Wait a minute. Did you lot see that? Why the fuck is she pouring OJ into her food? Did Dupieux tell her to do that? Like, what the fuck?
Why do you want us to go home?
Come on. Stop acting like this is real life. I'm telling you, we're done. There's no one watching anymore, okay? No use going on.
Okay, so you remember that cop from the beginning? Well, he's the only one who seems to know what's going on here. He essentially shows everyone that what happened is fake and that they're all acting out a movie, and now that the spectators are dead, they can all stop. However, because the guy in the wheelchair didn't eat the poisoned turkey, he's still watching, and they have to keep going, despite his eagerness to stop.
Mr. Hughes?
Well, I guess that's revenge for the terrible service he got. So, because the crew want this wheelchair guy to die, this dude thinks it's a brilliant idea to give him more food, despite the fact that he knows that they poisoned the turkey, and he actually realized it before anyone even touched the fucking thing, and he tries to kill him. But instead of managing that, because this guy is not dumb enough to eat any food that this dude gives him, this guy eats the food instead, knowing it's poisoned, and acts shocked when he starts dying.
I'm gonna die! Help me!
So, as some kind of last-ditch effort to try and kill Robert, the cop uses the girl from before to try and lure him in and blow himself up, along with the doll that they've planted a bomb to. Brilliant plan. 10 out of 10, can't go wrong.
Come close and kill me, you little jerk.
Stick to the text. Go on.
Son of a bitch.
Come on. Closer.
But this wheelchair guy basically explains why this plan is dumb to the audience.
Why don't you just ice the bloody tire? Now that he's standing in front of the dummy, You get a bazooka, or even better. No, listen. Even better, you get one of your guys with a flamethrower, huh? Just whoa.
He's right, you know. And after much contemplation, the cop just decides to walk in, shoot Robert, and leave to end this whole situation. If it were that fucking easy, I do not understand why he didn't just do this before. However, little did he know that Robert has more powers than he thought.
Hey, wait! It's not the end! He's been reincarnated as a tricycle!
What? So, despite being a spectator, Robert disposes of the wheelchair guy, he gathers his army of tires, and he rides off into the distance. I have no idea what this last scene is supposed to mean or be interpreted as, but it's an ending that I did not expect, and I love it. Robert is a hidden gem. When my dad bought this for me a couple years ago, I thought it was just going to be some kind of stupid Attack of the Killer Tomatoes kind of movie. I never thought that I would actually find some kind of, like, depth or be able to analyze a movie like this, but here we go. My analysis was extremely brief because I didn't want to spend like 50 years trying to figure out what the fuck everything in the film meant, but even just brief analysis, you can really tell that there's something there. Dupieux maybe created this film with no intentional interpretation to be made, but it's very obvious that something lies underneath the layers of this movie. So much effort and joy was put into the creation of this film, and honestly, it deserves way more attention than it gets. In terms of where it would go on my ranking list, I'd say above Troll and under Zombievers, so pretty high. As much as I love Troll, I found this movie to have a lot more depth and rewatchability in comparison. However, I just love Zombievers more. Zombievers is so stupid, and it has so much comedy gold in it that I just can't put Robber above it. Remember guys, if you want to go see my rankings of the listings so far, then I've got a link in the description to my IMDb What Is This ranking list. It could also be a good chance for you guys to rate these movies if you've seen them too, so yeah, that's in the description. So yeah, that was my review. I honestly found it quite difficult to review this one, mainly because it's actually a competent movie and there wasn't that much to really say in terms of it being bad. And talking about movies being bad is kind of my strong suit. Talking about good ones is kind of hard. Figuring out how to go about this review took days in and of itself, and honestly I wanted to give up a few times because I had no idea how to go about it. But I'm glad I stuck with it and managed to get it done. I know this review was actually really short in comparison to my other ones, but like I said, reviewing decent, competent movies is not my strong suit. But I just wanted to talk about this one because I think it deserves way more attention than it has. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you stay safe in these crazy times, stay inside, wash your hands, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
No reason.